the man, the myth, the absolute legend, Mr. Ricky Gutierrez. If you guys do not know who this is, well, one, that's his bad, and he's gonna apologize for that. And two, he's an absolute beast when it comes to entrepreneur. The entire game of being an entrepreneur. I remember meeting Ricky a couple years back, and at first it was the day trading, it was the stock trading. Ricky sitting, waiting for another flight. Because he that time he caught flights rather than caught feelings. Not okay to say?
No, you go for it. Right? Okay.
Obviously, as he's waiting for those flights, day trading and posting those stories and following him over the last couple of years has been absolutely tremendous and insane to see what, the empire that he's been able to build. To go from stock trading daily to, massive YouTube to, Instagram influencer, minus the big muscles and day trading and obviously traveling the world, moving into, the dealership of cars and flipping cars. And I know you got that course as well, flipping wheels.
Yeah.
Which obviously will be in the description below as well. And then obviously moving into the real estate game. And man, I'm excited, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited for this. So, obviously just for the viewers, just to open it up, maybe you want to share a little bit about your story, and then obviously we can get into the meet and greet of this thing.
Let's do it. So first of all, thank you again for having me on the channel. For those that aren't familiar with who it is that I am, my name is Ricky. I'm mainly known for day trading in the stock market. We run the largest YouTube channel and private Facebook group in the world for those who trade in the stock market. Started kind of just uploading videos. I bought my first house here in Arizona at age 20, uploaded that video, it didn't do well. Uploaded a video about, a hobby of mine is after watching the Fast and Furious movies, I've always, been into cars. My dreams on why I was doing everything was to one day be able to afford and buy a GTR. I flipped a couple of those, uploaded videos on that, didn't do well. And then I remember I uploaded a video on a penny stock that I traded, and it wasn't like a ton of money that I made, but I got over 100,000 views. And it was just a bunch of comments of asking like what I did, how I found it, and all I began to do, it wasn't like I began to YouTube for a certain purpose or reason. I just began to make content based off of the comments and people's requests. I began to make more content than everyone else in my space, and then we began to just kind of explode. So it's been a true blessing. We have an amazing team that helps kind of facilitate everything it is that we do now within TechWhat Solutions and Learn, Plan, Profit and Flipping Wheels. And now we're in such a grateful position where we're able to, explore different markets. So we kind of built our big piece of pie and our foundation off of day trading, and we continue at that every single day. But on top of that, I've wanted to expand into investing in real estate. I'm working right now on my 10th investment property here in Arizona. And then on top of that, one of the things that we just recently did is I invested $230,000 into our Flipping Wheels Partners dealership here in Mesa, Arizona. So we're very excited about that. And my biggest thing is just now I'm in a position where, gratefully I've been able to do well. And now my focus is trying to pursue markets that I truly do have a big passion for. Not so much for the monetary aspect, but I love cars. I wanted to find a creative way on how to not lose money while I buy these cars. Owning a dealership, making sure that we almost get like wholesale prices and be able to either turn them around for a profit or break even. Same thing with real estate. I've really began to grow a huge passion for investing in real estate. We connected with one of the top real estate investors in Arizona named Lenny, and he's been an absolute blessing in the whole flip process. I first started off lending him money as a hard money lender. I would make a small percentage and I would learn from him. So as I was learning the ropes, I was getting paid. And then on top of that, recently I was telling you about 3 weeks ago, I started my first flip. So I began that flip with my friend, Nick Palladino, and we took on the project together. If it was not for Lenny, I think Nick and I can both agree, we would be struggling to get in contact with contractors and just everything that it takes to, I think, rehab and flip a house successfully and efficiently. And yes, we have made some mistakes, as I was telling you a little bit earlier, but I think that's the beautiful part about, entrepreneurship, investing. It's, if you have a passion for something, it's you want to do it within your own means and you want to have some form of understanding, but to not be afraid to fail. And I think that's truly what's allowed us to flourish so, I think, aggressively is because we've been able to surround ourselves with not people that are always the absolute best at what they do, but they're well informed, so we learn kind of the basics and we can build off of that. I think that's the biggest disconnect that I see from a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of investors, aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring investors, is the idea that like everyone wants to be successful, yet everyone wants to be told what to do. We were talking about it yesterday. I was talking to my little sister because she's very motivated to, be a social media influencer. And I was just like, people pay for problems. Don't be a problem, solve them. And I think that's the biggest thing. People are so wired and always just being told what to do that, how are you going to provide value for anyone by not providing a solution? So I think the best way to approach any market or, as an entrepreneur is if you actually want to flourish and you have a passion for something, begin to, solve problems. And like we've said, there's no question that people pay for solutions.
100%. I like that. So a couple of things that just like kind of, as you were talking, one, the team aspect of things.
Yeah.
I kind of like a lot of interviews or a lot of like YouTube like channels that you might watch or the viewers might be watching are looking at or they dive into the stuff that are just like the basic questions.
Yeah.
But I think for questions as true entrepreneurs, because like you said, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the game today, but they're not actual entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it for a year.
Of course.
But long term.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Those are the true entrepreneurs, right? So when it comes to that, like I'm curious too about this. And this is a question that maybe obviously us having completely different industries, obviously doing some real estate together as our team as well, but the team aspect of things.
Yeah.
Like how much has leveraging that team, because there's so many solo entrepreneurs out there that think that they can go make $100,000 a month, every month on the month, and for the next 5 years, when in all reality, chances are that's going to be a little bit difficult to do.
I agree. I think I would 100% not be where it is that I am today if it was not for my team. Not only just because of what they do. So the first thing is the people that I've brought onto our team, my goal for each and every single one of them is majority of them have been part of TechButt Solutions, and then I just saw value in them, not because they were necessarily the best, but because I like their work ethic. Again, I like problem solvers, so I don't need you to be the best at everything. I just need you to figure out a way on how to get it done. So with that, we have Michael, Ishmael, Justin, we have all these different people within our team that, yes, I can do what it is that they do, but I would rather, when I talk about like complementing partnerships, is I would rather build a team around, certain areas where I might lack. I might bring on someone onto our team that might be or excel a little bit better than I do within that niche. So with Michael in editing, he will do a much better job and if he's solely focused on that. And the overall, service or experience that we provide is even that much greater than I could do, right? So I can try to do everything. My overall, like the way that I would enjoy life and the overall just quality of, of the product or service that I might deliver will not be, I think, as great as it is as what we deliver now. And that kind of like goes hand in hand with everyone that we've brought onto our team or that we've worked with. The same thing with Lenny is I can figure it out all myself. I could have worked with the wholesaler directly from the very beginning instead of just lending him money because I only got a very small percentage. But at the end of the day, I think that's a huge, how do I say it? I don't want to say disconnect, but that's a big mistake that I see a lot of people make, that just because you want to pursue something doesn't mean that, I don't know, people approach these like creative markets so aggressively. So like we have people that message us all the time like, I want to pursue day trading, I want to quit my 9 to 5. I've always been someone that had a traditional job, and I was a huge believer in stability. And if you don't have something that provides you a stable source of income, then it's going to be very difficult for you to flourish. So if you get, this is the example that I like to give, if you get 2 people, one has a stable job, one doesn't, they both have $10,000 and you give them 1 year. The one that does not have a job and has bills to pay, they're going to approach it in a much more aggressive way because it's a make it or break it. And in reality, although we're inspired by those 1% stories of, the Elon Musk or the, Mark Zuckerberg, the people that put it all, right, at one play, it's like thinking it's the 0.0001% that you're hoping to. I'd rather work twice, 3 times as hard as everyone else, have some stability and, put in the work because now I can pay for my mortgage or my rent or just to stay afloat, and on top of that I can dedicate the extra time to learn more about these different markets. When you're at a make it or break it point, you're not necessarily focused on learning more, you're here to try to make it happen right then and there. And I think that if there's one takeaway from this video, my biggest focus for anyone is if you're truly passionate or trying to pursue something, as in whatever the creative market is, if it's social media marketing, if it's day trading, if it's investing in the stock market, crypto, Forex, Amazon FBA, there's so many different, everyone wants to be successful, and you can see, all these different accounts out there, and whatever the case might be, the biggest thing is you should be learning in the very beginning. And if you don't have some form of stability that is allowing you to focus on the learning process, then I'm a true believer that nothing worth having should come easy. And if you're not able to dedicate the time, implement some structure and practice, what it is that you're trying to learn more about, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to truly flourish, and yet alone create a solid company. So I would say that the biggest thing is, like, as I started to pick up on these different things on what worked well for our company and what didn't, I began to bring on people that resonated well with our team, but on top of that their talents exceeded my talent in that area. Therefore, we have some form of complementing partnership. And I would 100%, I would say that all the time, I would 100% not be where it is that I am today if it was not for my team. And I've changed in the past 2 years, and it's been because of the people that I surrounded myself with. And I think I'm a much more open-minded individual now, and it's because of the people that I've surrounded myself with.
We have an ATM business, and we got into this ATM business not needing to get into the business.
Exactly.
Right? We were just like, hey, we're gonna explore this. We accidentally placed an ATM machine inside of a barbershop. We had our ATM ran through the same bank account that our 3 other companies were running through. So we had no idea the deposits, because you know how it goes. I mean, 4 companies running in one bank account, you're sliding the debit card, you're doing pulling out money, paying people, paying affiliates, doing this. So we had so many transactions that we didn't really look at the deposits, because there was always going to be deposits. And we didn't see where the deposits were from, but when we sat down with our CPA and doing our taxes, she's like, because we meet every quarterly. This is kind of funny, and we meet with her, and she says, well, "What is this?" She's like, "You guys get this $600 to $700 a month deposit every single month. Do you guys know what this is from?" And Austin and I look at each other. We're like, "I don't know." Like, we actually truly don't, right? We're like, "Well, let us know. Let us know where we're making an extra $600 to $700 a month." And she comes back literally not 24 hours later, and she says, "Hey, this is from your guys' ATM that you guys have at the barbershop." And this was 2 years ago. And Austin and I looked at each other and we're like, holy shit, like we have an ATM that's making us $700 a month. We had no idea that it was making us $700 a month. We filled it once with 10 grand, which we didn't even know if it was right or wrong. And every single month we've been making $600 to $700 a month just off this one ATM. So him and I then took that approach of, hey, let's go get everything for free. Let's pay off our office. Let's pay our rent, right? Let's pay our cars. Let's pay for all the employees that we have, and just ATM money. And so we were able to approach it a little bit differently than if somebody's like, I need to get this to go pay my rent.
Exactly.
It's a totally, like you said, the psychology, but the subconscious feeling of that, of knowing that it's not something you have to, but it's something you want to, is going to be a totally different approach.
I agree. I think, when you get like uber successful people or people that come from super wealthy families, you tend to see, I think Kylie Jenner can be an example where she didn't have to make it or break it. She just started a makeup line because she could. And, not everyone is in that position, but at the end of the day, you can't, complain about the position. Like we're all in different levels and different positions. So you take and run with what you're given. But at the end of the day, I do agree that those that do start off with some form of stability, either if it's something that they were born into or something that they worked for at a very early age, does allow them and give them kind of like the blessing, right, of being able to, just like you guys said, explore these different markets and starts making money. and then you guys can turn it into kind of, well, once you see that it's a working system, then you guys can scale. Same thing when it comes down to, if you're doing something in a normal job and you want to get into an ATM business, real estate, day trading, investing, whatever the case may be, it's much easier because I think, like you said, your mindset or your approach is more focused on the, I want to do this right, and not because I have to make it happen.
Me being an entrepreneur, when I got started when I was 15, I stole my mom's credit card to get started in my first business. That was like a make it or break it for me. And I could see, but I didn't make money for 4 years.
Okay.
For 4 years, I didn't make any money, but I was pushing so hard and I needed it. And I wanted it, but I needed it. And I approached it a lot differently. And then when I sat back and looked at other people's success and saying, okay, instead of me being so stubborn and going and getting a job and making sure that my stuff was taken care of, I was going all in. You know what I mean? I was taking that 0.01% mentality. And looking back at it over the last 4 years, you kind of say, Austin, why didn't you have success? Why didn't you make any money? And it was like, oh, it makes sense because my mentality going into it, because in any business is, I truly don't believe it's how good you day trade. I truly don't believe, it's how good you are at real estate flipping. It's not, how good you are at, building a social media agency. It's what do you think when you wake up in the morning? What is your mentality going into that day trade? What is your mentality going into trading that morning? What is your mentality going into that real estate flip? Is ultimately going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
So, obviously I don't want to make this video too long, but what's next for Ricky?
That's a good question. So one of our biggest focuses is, three things. Like the dealership that we just began to work on, one of the things that we want to do for our Learn Plan Profit members is we want to open up free trading facilities within right now the Arizona area because this is where we're based at. So I just kind of want to open kind of like an HQ that will be similar to kind of a WeWork, which is for more investors and day traders, and I want to make it free for them. So that's going to be like our way of giving back to the members that saw value in us. And then the next thing is we have a great partner. His name is Mackenzie. He's in New Jersey right now. He's one of our developers, and we're in the beta trials of this application that we're working on, and all it's going to do is just allow newer traders to be aware of what they're doing right or wrong. I think the biggest area of opportunity for new people when they come into investing or entrepreneurship is when you have a job, there's guidelines that you must follow or there's consequences, right? When it comes down to being an entrepreneur and investor, you're able to do whatever you want. And sometimes that freedom can become, killer because it can truly, the lack of structure, the lack of consistency, the lack of just the overall understanding of what to do and when to do it. This application is not going to do anything special, but all it's going to do is collect data, allow you to know when you do well, what you can do better on, and then take the data from, the other users, and then also give you kind of just tips, not necessarily tell you what to do, but more make you aware of what you're doing right and wrong. So it's a very simple thing, but I think it's the very simple things in life that people complicate. So that's our main focus. Hopefully just continue to scale in what we're already doing, and then we'd like to bring on those 3 new projects.
Cool. I love it, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, likewise, man. Long time.
Yeah, no, it's been a while.
I said once I get my YouTube to be monetized and I actually have a little bit of subscribers here, we got some things.
I like
let's
it.
do a channel, man.
Yeah, so just make sure you guys better subscribe. Make sure you drop a thumbs up. And also, I think one of the biggest things is, like I said, is you guys need to comment what you want to see. There's no question that Austin's pretty well connected. So if there's certain people that you guys want to see or certain topics that you want to be covered, then all you have to do is ask, and Austin shall do.
Hey, if you guys want to see more of Ricky Gutierrez, man, all you got to do is Google him.
Right?
And he'll pop up.
I like it.